In this video, we're going to talk about average speed. The speed we have been calculating is a constant speed over a short period of time. Another name for this is called instantaneous speed. If a trip has multiple parts, each part must be treated separately. In this case, we can calculate the average speed for a total trip. Determine the average speed by finding the total distance you traveled and dividing that by the total time it took you to travel that distance. Okay, so you find the total distance traveled, you find the total time traveled, you take the total distance divided by the total time, and that's going to give you the average speed. Because remember, sometimes during this trip you may be traveling 30 meters per second and then traveling 5 meters per second at another part of the trip. And so you're traveling at a constant speed, but in short periods of time, or in other words, instantaneous speeds, which is going to be different than your average speed. Okay, in physics we use subscripts in order to avoid any confusion with different distances and time intervals. So for example, if an object makes a multiple trip that has 3 parts, we represent them as D1, D2, D3, and the corresponding time intervals would be T1, T2, and T3. The following pattern of steps will help us to find the average speed. The first thing we do is we find the total distance. The total distance is the sum of each of the individual distances traveled. So the total distance would be equal to D1 plus D2 plus D3. For the total time traveled is going to be the elapsed time of each segment added together. So the total time is going to be equal to T1 plus T2 plus T3. In order to find the average speed, we take the total distance, D total, and divide it by the total time, T total. You ride your bike home from school by way of your friend's house. It takes you 7 minutes or 420 seconds to travel the 2,500 meters to his house. You spend 10 minutes there before traveling 3,500 meters to your house in 9 minutes, which is 540 seconds. What was your average speed for the trip? To keep things clear, we can use a table or a graphic organizer to keep track of the information. So the first thing we're going to do is write the given information in the table below. You ride your bike home from school by way of your friend's house. It takes you 7 minutes or 420 seconds to travel the 2,500 meters to his house. You spend 600 seconds there before traveling 3,500 meters to your house in 540 seconds. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill in the chart. Notice the first part is 7 minutes and a distance of 2,500 meters. For the next part, we're not traveling any distance at all, and it's for 10 minutes, or 600 seconds. For the third leg of the trip, notice that it's 3,500 meters, and it takes us 540 seconds. So the first thing we do is we put in the 2,500 meters for the distance, and the 420 for the seconds for the time. Notice we do that for all three. 0 meters traveled for the second part, and that's 600 seconds. And then for the last leg, we're traveling 3,500 for 540 seconds. Now what you're going to do is you're going to add up this column here, and you're going to add up this column here. So for this column here, we end up with 6,000. And for this column here, we end up with 1,560. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 6,000 divided by the 1,560. And that gives us 3.85 meters per second. So our average speed for this trip is 3.85 seconds. Okay, so you run a distance of 210 meters at a speed of 7 meters per second. You then jog a distance of 800 meters in a time of 235 seconds. Finally, you run 25 seconds at a speed of 6 meters per second. What is your average speed for your total run? Okay, if we put in the numbers, we end up with 210 and 30 seconds because we've traveled 7 meters per second. If you look at here, they give you 7 meters per second. So if we type in the 7 meters per second here and the 210 meters here, you can go ahead and divide the 210 by the 7, and that would give you the time, which ends up being 30 seconds. Entering all of the rest of the numbers, we end up with 1160 with a time of 290 seconds. Dividing 1160 by 290 gives us 4. In the next video, we're going to talk about position and reference frames.